Story 1. I was 15 years old when my Uncle Jack sent cash to my grandmother so she could buy a Christmas gift from him. She bought a navy blue lacy teddy. It was lingerie, not a stuffed bear. The tag read from Uncle Jack, and I opened the gift in front of my whole family. Story 2. This was years ago. A former friend regifted a book I had given her. She tried to act as if she had just bought me the same book, but it had my handwritten birthday note on the inside cover, and she had not even opened it. It was Ready Player One, and we are not friends anymore. Story 3. When my mom died, her friend gave me a Build-A-Bear with a wig meant to look like my mom's hair. It had a voice box that played a voicemail my mom had left her once. My mom sounded drunk, or at least not sober. Considering my mom died of an overdose, I don't understand why her friend chose a recording made while she was not sober. It felt very creepy and made me uncomfortable, but her friend was sobbing as she gave it to me, and I just managed to smile and say, "Thank you." Story 4. The bras were too small for my mother-in-law. I hate that woman. Story 5. The whole family was together, and my uncles planned to give their children presents that day, one of them dressed as Santa. Because they had not told my parents, they had not brought any of my gifts. Santa gave my cousins nice presents, but I received an ugly, odd plush toy they had bought at the last minute. I started crying, thinking Santa did not love me because I was the only one with an ugly gift. When we got home, my mother got out of the car first while I stayed with my father until he parked. She left one of my gifts on the table, so when I came inside and saw it, I felt loved again. Story 6. Not me, but my sweet husband has the worst gift story I have ever heard. He started losing his hair at a young age. One day his stepmother, with whom he did not have a good relationship, sent him Rogaine cash on delivery completely unannounced. At the time he did not have much money, was not expecting anything in the mail, and had never received anything cash on delivery, so he just paid for it, not knowing he could simply refuse. It was over $100, if I recall, which was part of his rent. The gift crushed his self-esteem and left him broke. This was 25 years ago and 10 years before I met my husband, but it still makes me angry. If I had the ability to time travel, my first stop would be 1999. I would drive to her house and knock her teeth out. Story 7. We had a secret Santa gift exchange at work, and one of my coworkers completely ignored it. I had gone to a lot of effort to find something unique and spent a little more than the $25 maximum. When we opened gifts, I received a partial roll of toilet paper that had been removed from the women's bathroom that morning. I shouldn't have felt humiliated, but I became the subject of several bad jokes afterward. Story 8. My brother once gifted me back my Patagonia fleece pullover after he had given it away while I was out of town. It was my favorite piece of clothing, and I would not stop asking where it had gone when I returned and could not find it. He had given it away without asking, but because I kept mentioning it, he retrieved it from the person he had given it to. For my birthday, he wrapped it up like a real gift. He was actually proud of himself. Story 9. For my 14th birthday, I received a new yard waist because the old one was falling apart and held together mostly by duct tape. It was not even a nice one. Story 10. On my 13th birthday, in front of all the neighborhood kids and my school friends, my mother gifted me Slim Fast. I was mortified. I wasn't even that fat, just a little chubby in my awkward phase. Story 11. I received a Weight Watchers cookbook from a family member at Christmas, about 3 weeks after I was released from the hospital where I had been treated for anorexia. Story 12. My mother was a horrible person. I was adopted, and a week later they found out my mother was pregnant with my sister. She tried to send me back, but they would not let her. She constantly reminded me of this until she died a few years ago. While her biological children received expensive gifts, I got clothes that were her size in flashy colors and non-returnable. On Christmas when I was 13, I received a set of luggage. My siblings all got nice electronics. Story 13. One year I witnessed my mother receive the worst gift. My father bought her a cane from the drugstore. She did not need a cane. She had asked for hiking poles because she is in a hiking group. He expected her to go hiking with a granny cane, and there was a lot of upset about it. Story 14. I was working for a chiropractor who gave my two coworkers a $100 Visa gift card but did not give me anything. Story 15. I can't recall any bad physical gifts, but on one holiday my great aunt and uncle loudly declared that they would no longer give me anything because I had turned 18. I wasn't close to them, so I wasn't crushed, but damn. Story 16. My brother-in-law would invite himself over for a few nights every month and have us take him around and host barbecues so he could find a wife when my husband and I were newly married. Money was tight and we were still learning to navigate married life and life in general. We were in our mid-20s. At first it was nice to have family together, but it very quickly became annoying. He would not help, barely engaged, left his space a mess, showed no gratitude, and only interacted when guests were present. None of my friends were interested. He essentially used our home as a hotel and treated us like servants. My attitude toward him changed and I set boundaries after seeing his true colors. He became very offended and told my husband I was not warm and welcoming all of a sudden. I took him aside once and spoke to him directly about the situation and how I felt. I acknowledged that I had reacted to his behavior instead of clearly communicating how it made me feel. He stood there with folded arms, nodded, said, "Okay," and walked away when I was done. A few weeks later, I received a package. It was a cheap $2 mug with a cheesy joke about having to put up with his brother, my husband. You could tell he had searched online for sister-in-law gift and clicked on the first thing. I would have thrown it away immediately if I had not opened it in front of my husband. It was disrespectful and clearly showed how little he valued me and our relationship. Story 17. I keep getting fleece cartoon pajama sets from my in-laws. I am in my mid-30s and have never expressed any enjoyment of Disney to them. Yet they keep giving me these pajamas. Story 18. My brother's girlfriend at the time gifted me fancy cellulite cream and a serum for under-eye bags. Needless to say, we were not on the best of terms. Story 19. My father gave me a fishing rod for my 18th birthday, even though neither of us knows how to fish and we do not know anyone who fishes. I have never expressed an interest in fishing. We live in a city. It was totally bizarre and disappointing. Story 20. My mother gave us the family china set that her mother-in-law received on her wedding day. We never used or displayed it, but we are responsible for keeping it and are required to pass it down. It is a massive set and very heavy. No, we cannot sell it or give it away. Story 21. One Christmas my dad gave me a calendar for the year that was ending. It was only good for another week. It wasn't malicious, though. I think he had either bought it the year before, forgotten to give it and left it on his gift shelf, then wrapped it, or there had been a good sale on calendars a couple of months earlier and he wasn't thinking when he bought one. For a man with 2 doctorates, he could be pretty absent-minded. Story 22. A bathroom scale from my ex-husband. Story 23. I received a snow scraper for the car. I did not even have a driver's license at the time, but my husband had just gotten his and bought a car, so I was given the scraper because this was to be my job as the passenger. It was a gift from my in-laws. Story 24. This hammer was very cheap. I mimed using it, and on the backswing the head came off and flew behind me, breaking a lamp. Thanks. Story 25. My grandpa gave me a big basket of chocolate after we told him I don't eat it. Story 26. I got a long-sleeved shirt from my stepmom and dad for my birthday. The shirt was clearly from a thrift store and well-used. It was the wrong size and didn't fit. My birthday was 2 days after my stepsister's birthday, and she posted a gorgeous floral arrangement on her Facebook from her mom and my dad. Story 27. Pretty much everything I received as a little girl was like that. I know I sound spoiled, but let me explain. One year I got a plastic skateboard while my sister received a much more expensive wooden skateboard with name-brand trucks and accessories. Another year I got a painting set, although I never liked art and the cheap easel would not stay up. My sister got a Schwinn bicycle. I was told she got better presents because she was older, which never made sense to me. She is always going to be older. Story 28. Granted, it was not a gift given directly to me, but it still makes me uncomfortable that they thought it was appropriate for the event. A relative invited me to their friend group's white elephant gift exchange, so I went along thinking it would be nice to meet new people. I do not remember what I brought, but there was a price limit, either $25 or $50, and I made sure my gift was nice and within the limit. People opened compact discs, pretty journals, books, stuffed animals, kitchen equipment, everything you would expect at a normal white elephant party. One of my journals was stolen, so I picked another gift. Inside the gift bag was a plastic bag containing a dusty, yellow-stained webcam from the era of bulky Apple computers. The person who brought it laughed when I opened it. No one stole or traded with me. It was as if I had disappeared from the group while the party continued. I just tried to figure out where to put the thing and where I could wash my hands. My relative sensed I was hurt and asked if I was okay on the way home, but I put on a brave face. I was still a teenager then, and these were grown adults. It went straight into the trash when I got home. I still wonder why I hung out with that group for another year. Story 29. A woman I befriended, whom I would not really consider a friend, makes small leather wallets and pouches to sell. During the week of my birthday, I did not want to have lunch with her, but she insisted, saying she had gotten me gifts. I went, and she gave me a heavy folded painted piece of cardboard that I believe is a billfold, and a video of her cat. She said no one wanted the leather or cardboard piece. To me, it is the thought that counts, and that jab felt both cunning and rude. Story 30. A literal hefty bag of garage sale rejects, stained, torn, and smelly, was given to my brothers and me by our dad and his wife every year for about 10 years. No one believed us when we said we received a bag of trash each year. It was strange that we never opened gifts together with her children. They have recently started the practice again. They live in a $500,000 house and drive a $100,000 car. Story 31. Secret Santa at work. My coworker knew I am agnostic, so she gave me a Bible. Story 32. My husband gave me a new vacuum cleaner for my 41st birthday. He didn't even wrap the box. He just handed it to me, proud as a peacock, and was dumbfounded when I started to cry. Story 33. I worked for a nursing agency. The owner was a millionaire. For Christmas, we received a pencil with the company name on it. It was totally worth working weekends and holidays. Story 34. I had the second to last pick in a white elephant exchange. The last gifts were mine and a ripped bag that no one wanted. I gambled and chose the ripped bag. It contained clear craft ornaments filled with melted crayons. They were terrible, and there was supposed to be a $25 minimum. She knew how bad they were and offered me a box of wine from her trunk instead. I declined. I had been adamantly against playing, but my work friends insisted it would be okay. It was not. Story 35. I bought my father a prepaid MasterCard with $100 on it one Christmas. 3 years later, he unwittingly regifted it to me after it had expired. Story 36. Anything they found while looking around their house that they want to get rid of, or something from a thrift store. Story 37. At a work Secret Santa event in 2003, I received a video home system tape about why someone should choose the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and a copy of the Book of Mormon. Story 38. I received nothing and was told that Christmas is only for Christians, so I did not deserve a gift. He had given me a black eye and a broken orbital bone about a week before, so Christmas with my family was awkward that year. He is dead now, so that is something. Story 39. When I was 12, I got a coat rack for my birthday. I lacked perspective then. I was raised by a single mom doing her absolute best. That was all she could afford. She was raising 2 children on her own. Felt like a real kick in the nuts at the time. Story 40. When I was 9, I received a pretty necklace from a cute boy as a Secret Santa gift. He thought it was for an older, very popular girl because we had the same first name. Story 41. I was out for my birthday at a restaurant with my family. My mother hyped me up, making me think the gift was a huge surprise. I opened it and it was a booklet from the Eras tour. My excitement mounted when I found a hoodie with a quick response code on it. People at nearby tables got involved, awaiting the big reveal. We all thought the quick response code would reveal, "Surprise, you are going to the Eras tour." I scanned the quick response code and my phone displayed the words "fuck you" in large black and white letters. Mortified, I shoved everything back into the box and acted like everything was fine. Finally, toward the end of this year, I found the courage to set significant boundaries with her because moments like this have occurred throughout my life. Story 42. When I moved in, my landlord gave me a mug as a welcome gift. The mug had the letter P on it, the first letter of his name, so I am sure it was a regift. Inside were several pieces of old candy and a coupon for a lawn service. The apartment does not have a lawn. Story 43. A tennis racket from a now ex-boyfriend. I had never played, talked about, or expressed any interest in tennis. Story 44. When I was about 12 years old, we were dirt poor. It was just my mother and me while she went back to college after leaving my father. Someone put my name on the angel tree at Walmart, and I received a gift. A pair of brown dress socks that were too small. Story 45. Creepy ornamental dolls with glass eyes arrived when I was 5. They were not age appropriate, but my grandmother collected them and expected me to like them too. She never bought us anything we liked or wanted. She sent me one every year, and I donated each one to a tombola or a charity. When my grandmother died, her entire collection of about 120 to 150 of these horrid dolls sold for about £50. Such a sad waste of money for her. Story 46. They gave me flavored rolling tobacco and giant incense sticks to use in a garden. I had just received a cancer diagnosis and had to quit smoking, and I did not have a garden. The gift giver was offended that I was not excited about their gift. Story 47. In high school, my mother gave me a pair of pants for women 4 sizes too big, rolled up and stuffed inside a box of saltine crackers. Not going to lie, that was unexpected. That was all I received that year. The mother of my girlfriend felt so sorry for me that she bought me a warm-up jacket. Story 48. I got a barbecue kitchen tool set from my now ex-husband. I looked at it quizzically, as I had never grilled anything in my life and did not even own an outdoor grill. He gushed, "I thought you'd like it. I remember that time you made chicken for the Johnsons." I looked at him and said, "I've never met the Johnsons. I think you have me confused with your first wife." He did, in fact, have her confused with his first wife. Story 49. Father got remarried and my stepmother did not like me. I became ill at the wedding because makeup burned my face and I had not eaten. I asked to step outside for a moment and she freaked. She dragged me upstairs and locked me in one of the rooms at the hotel reception. I was there for 7 hours. As punishment for my actions, I was grounded for 7 months and the door to my bedroom was ripped off. I was 15 and the bedroom opened onto the main hallway where everyone could see into my room, so I had no privacy. When Christmas came at the end of the punishment, the only gift I received, wrapped and placed against the wall near the tree, was my bedroom door. I did not get anything else. They bought everything for my brother and for each other. I still have emotional trauma from this. That was not the only thing she did. Story 50. My dad gave me Dr. Laura Schlesinger's book, 10 Stupid Things Women Do to Mess Up Their Lives, for my 18th birthday. Story 51. My late grandmother gave me a thrifted French-made lingerie set consisting of a thong, a skirt, and a bra. It was clearly intended for a stripper or similar. The bra was about a B cup while I was a 3D cup. I was laughing out loud. I miss you, Grandma. Story 52. My mother-in-law regifted the flannel pajamas I had given her the previous Christmas. To be fair, they were fantastic and I loved them, but she returned them right after I gave birth to my daughter, so my feelings were hurt. Story 53. Not a single gift. When I made my first communion, we had a huge party at our house. I received a ton of cards with money and I was thinking about all the Joe action figures and Lego sets I was about to buy. That night my mom said, "Nope, that is to pay for the party." I am 53. Still stings. Story 54. The hot chocolate kit came with a cup that was not dishwasher safe. Everything tasted stale and old. It was 2 years past its expiration date. Story 55. In 2018, I was homeless. My mother put me in a homeless shelter because I was not finding an apartment fast enough and she wanted to encourage me. That place almost killed me. I was not eating or sleeping, and on a daily basis I was being harassed and even threatened with rape and murder by the other residents. I turned 19 while I was there. A few weeks earlier, I had gone to my mother's for the day. My grandmother was there and complained about my hair. At the time, my hair was very long, and I did not have time to shower or style it. I had very few belongings, so I wore an old beanie and shoved my hair inside it most days. On my birthday, my mother and grandmother took me to lunch. My grandmother was almost vibrating with excitement over my gift. She handed me a small plastic mirror, the kind you buy at a dollar store. It was cheap. She told me with a big grin that now I could start doing my hair so I could actually look presentable the next time she saw me. To this day, I do not know how I did not burst into tears on the spot. Story 56. I received a Make America Great Again hat in a white elephant exchange at a place where I used to work. Story 57. One Christmas my dad gave me some trees planted in Africa in my name. I hope they are doing okay. Story 58. My grandma sent me a birthday card once. I think it was a Snoopy card that said, "I always send cards to people I love, but I had one left over, so I sent it to you." She signed it with her full legal name and mailed it to me. I was about 12 to 14 years old. I remember the exact shade of magenta my dad's face turned when he saw it. I do not recall being upset, just mildly amused that she had the nerve to be so mean. I thought my poor dad's head would explode. Nothing was ever said about it again, but it is certainly a weird memory. Story 59. A half-used bottle of Tabasco sauce. This was after spending nearly $2,000 on gifts for the in-laws. Story 60. When I was about 9 years old, I received a toy kitchen set intended for 3-year-olds from Santa. I said he must have mistakenly given it to me since it was for little children. My older cousin told me I needed to be nicer and more grateful because my grandmother had actually bought it for me. That is how I learned Santa was not real. I am 34 years old now and still upset. It really was not an age-appropriate gift. I just bought one for my 4-year-old daughter. Story 61. My husband and I have been married for 3 years and were together for 5 years before that. After the first year of dating, his mother began being downright mean to me. She scowled at me and ignored me when I went with my boyfriend to events. She texted him asking if he had broken up with me yet and said that driving me to places in his hometown was a waste of gas money. We are now married, and because we had a child, she is nice to me now. I found that amusing. One of the years she hated me, she gave me a special Christmas gift. A single child's hair tie wrapped in a little box. Story 62. On my 11th birthday, I had only a cake and a couple of friends. My mom explained money was tight and that the cake was the best she could do. It was my dream cake, so I said okay. She made the cake and all the decorations by hand. I enjoyed the cake, and that is all that mattered. Story 63. A driver compact disc for a webcam. The webcam is not included. Story 64. I'm tall and too hot because of multiple sclerosis. I bought a thick, bright, royal blue, fleece one-piece pajama suit. It had elastic ankles, but that part hit me mid-calf. I put it on just so my sister-in-law could see how wrong she was. Story 65. I had a friend who collected Robotech models, but only from a specific line. I was at a hobby store that was closing, and on the discount table was a model she had been looking for. I knew it was the right brand and the right model because she had complained about it that summer at a science fiction convention. It retailed for $150 in 1980s dollars, but on clearance they were selling it for $5. The box was a little faded, but sealed. I waited 2 months for her to open the gift at Christmas. When she did, the first thing she said was, "Ah, I hope you have the receipt?" She did not even pause. I was confused. "I thought this was the model you wanted." "Uh-huh." She cut me off sharply. "You have the receipt?" As if I were at a dry cleaner's. "No. I got it from a store that was closing 2 months ago, and I knew you wanted this brand and this Robotech model." She sighed with forced disappointment. "So I guess I'm stuck with it, is that what you're saying? Great." Then she tossed it aside and changed the subject, as if I had embarrassed myself in front of the group. I never got her a gift again. She never explained herself. Story 66. My company is in a competition with itself for the worst possible gifts every year, and so far they win every time. Story 67. A partially open pack of snacks came in a fancy bag. Story 68. A teeth whitening device. My brother asked for one for Christmas, which I do not mind. My mom bought one for me as well, then criticized me for not using it and complained about how much it cost. Felt like the opposite of a thoughtful gift. She knows I do not worry about teeth whitening. My teeth are fine, and I wish she had spent the money on something else. Story 69. A box of dinosaur-shaped pasta with cheese sauce. It was off-brand. I was 15. My cousins all got the same thing. It came from an aunt and uncle who were fairly well off. Story 70. A few years ago, my sister gave me a dish-drying mat. I remembered thinking what the heck and that it was pretty low effort. Sometime later, I got fed up cleaning my dish rack and remembered the mat. I started using it and never looked back. It went from worst to first. Just toss it in the laundry to clean. I bought a few replacements since. Story 71. Not the worst, but definitely not safe. I was given a giant hunting Bowie knife when I was about 12. Story 72. My mother gave me used candles and expected me to make a fuss. Story 73. You know what I got for Christmas? It was a banner freaking year at the Tiger House. I got a carton of cigarettes. The old man grabbed me and said, "Hey, smoke up, Tony. They're great. Bastard." Story 74. When I was 7, I received a well-wrapped, travel-sized Jergens hand lotion from my aunt and uncle. There was no explanation. It was so strange that I have never stopped thinking about it. Story 75. An ex-boyfriend got me Ed Sheeran tickets for Christmas. He broke up with me 2 weeks before the concert, reclaimed the tickets because he had bought them in his name, and went to the concert with the woman he had been cheating with. I laughed. Story 76. A digital video disc of La Vie en Rose. You might think not so bad, right? But my aunt is a chronic hoarder who is tight with $1. She had to be a penny pincher because her husband was an alcoholic who spent a lot on booze, so she tended to buy a lot of used stuff from Patty's Market, forget about it, and then give it to whoever needed a birthday or Christmas present. I never had any interest in the film, but it might be a nice watch. I opened the case and literally hundreds of dead bugs, mostly sandflies, fell out onto my bed. It had been in storage in her messy house so long that it had become infested. I had to throw away the sheets because they were not salvageable due to the bugs and cockroach droppings. Took ages to clean it all up. And the worst part? The digital video disc was not even in the case. It is probably in a broken digital video disc player at a rubbish tip somewhere. Story 77. My mom gave me a paper bag with about a dozen car air fresheners one year. It was one of the few times she ever visited me, and she apparently felt she needed to bring a gift. My partner at the time was horrified, but I was used to that from her. I thanked her and said I appreciated and needed the air fresheners. Story 78. Not mine. My mom received a microwave as a Christmas present. Dad still never lives it down, and it is brought up every year. It was a tense Christmas day that time around. I still do not know what he was thinking. Story 79. The items were not for me. My dad miswrapped them, so I had to give them back. Story 80. When I was 16 years old, my aunt gave me a book and one chapstick. The book was written for 3rd grade. She said she did not know my reading level, so she thought it would be a good bet. My level was much higher than that. The best part was that it was for our family Christmas party, and the purchase amount had to be between $20 and $30. She is my rich aunt too. Story 81. When my grandfather died, my grandmother remarried a multimillionaire. She sold her house and they moved into a smaller townhouse. That Christmas, she gave everyone items from her house. People received some nice things. I received a half-empty bottle of scotch, but I don't drink. I was not offended that it was all I got. I don't care about receiving gifts and would have been content with nothing. I always found it hilarious how pointless the gift was, especially since it wasn't due to lack of money. The worst gift I've ever received is also one of the most memorable because of how bad it was. Story 82. A rubber garbage disposal cover, the round kind you put in your sink drain. It had a price tag of 99 cents. I did not have a garbage disposal. Thanks to my former mother-in-law. Story 83. I was around 18 and my boyfriend at the time gave me an extra large beige t-shirt with an embroidered rose and a Kmart tag attached. I am 5 feet 2 inches and was about 100 pounds at the time, so the size was baffling. What teenage girl does not want a shirt made for an 80-year-old woman? 30 years later, I still wonder what on earth he was thinking. Story 84. We had a gift exchange with my family and I, as usual, put a lot of thought into my gift for my brother. He loves Monsteras, so I found him a cool Monstera neon light that he loved. By the way, he is not my favorite person, so this was already far more effort than he deserved. I was also lucky enough to get him as my secret Santa. You know what he got me? A Monstera he grabbed from his apartment on his way out, with no bow or wrapping. He admitted it was one he did not even want or need, so I was a complete afterthought. He had one gift to buy and he could not manage it. I have received worse presents than a plant, but this one stands out because of the sheer lack of thought and care that went into it. I swore to never get him another gift again. Story 85. I received sexy grippy socks from a woman I wasn't really attracted to. I feel bad because they were homemade and she spent a lot of time and effort making them to solve a problem she thought I had. I have hardwood floors and she was worried I would not have traction during sex, so she bought grippy socks, drew anatomically correct genitalia on them with a glitter pen, and wrote cheesy sexual phrases on them. Story 86. I got an urn for my high school graduation. I am clearly still alive. Story 87. I talked to my man about this the other day. It was a bottle with a candy cane in it. It was from the dollar store. I got a bit upset because I was sure it was the wine I wanted from my friend. In the end, I kept the bottle and my friend got the boots she wanted. Story 88. For Christmas, an aunt by marriage on my father's side gave me a second-hand cloth bag that had crumbs in the bottom and a few stains. We were at her and my uncle's house when we exchanged presents, so I had to pretend to be thankful, and it reinforced that she did not really care about my family. Story 89. Expired McDonald's coupons and an open We Fit disc. Both items were from the same person and were not intended for a white elephant gift exchange. Story 90. Fuzzy socks. I live somewhere with a mild climate, so they are never used. Story 91. I worked for a senior vice president at New York University for 6 years. On my last day at our weekly senior staff meeting, she gave me a purple bar of New York University soap as a gift, and I had to thank her in front of some associate deans and other leaders. After 6 years, I thought she hated me, laughing out loud. When the film The Devil Wears Prada came out, we were all viciously messaging each other because the parallels were uncanny. Story 92. When I was a kid, I desperately wanted a remote control car to play with in the backyard. My wealthy uncle heard this and bought one of those extremely expensive on-rails racetrack car sets where you hold down a button and the cars zoom around the track. It was so boring to use and not what I wanted at all, but I had to pretend it was the greatest thing so I wouldn't look like a spoiled brat. Even now, I still feel bad for hating that gift. I should have been grateful, but I hated it. Story 93. My boyfriend's grandma gave him a little pencil sharpener from the depths of her cleavage. Story 94. My mother had me when she was 20. When I was 15, that same grandmother gave me a box of condoms in front of our entire family and told me not to get knocked up like my mother did. Story 95. We drew names in my husband's family. His sister-in-law drew my name. The gift arrived in the mail, and I decided I did not want to be disappointed on Christmas Day, so I peeked. It was a men's large purple t-shirt from Kmart. The next year, another sister-in-law drew my name and gave me a cut crystal lamp from Goodwill with the price sticker still on it. I never drew names with them again. Story 96. Knit fingerless gloves with huge stuffed Mickey Mouse heads on the backs of the hands. I mean huge. They stuck up 2 inches and were 4 inches across. They were priced at $1.50. I was 20 years old and attending college in Illinois and had asked for winter gloves. My new stepmother bought them. My dad was so embarrassed he went to his usual hunting store and bought me a pair of real winter gloves. She was furious with him for spending more than $1.50 on his daughter to keep her hands warm walking 4 miles to class in a Midwestern winter. They beat the plastic, light up, spinning, Music playing carousel I received when I was 24 by a hair. Story 97. For our first Valentine's Day together, my now ex-boyfriend gave me a badger penis bone. I am a vegetarian. Story 98. Every year for the last 15 years a family member has given me Bath and Body Works lotions, soap, and air fresheners. I should have told her long ago that I don't do well with their scents, but it would probably have hurt her feelings. Story 99. Anti-aging cream because I'm too ugly for my own mom, apparently. Story 100. My mom gave me alcohol even though I do not drink. It was clearly a panic buy, the icing on the cake along with sweets I do not like and a random plastic bauble she apparently liked. I love her, but it really stung, especially since my in-laws always made an effort. Story 101. For my 27th birthday, I got a cheese grater from my step-grandmother. I didn't ask for one, and she didn't ask what I wanted. Story 102. The last Christmas of my marriage, she was a heavy smoker, so I bought her 2 cartons of cigarettes because I thought she might like that since she was not showing interest in anything else. I wrapped them and put them under the tree and waited. She came home and told me the doctor was forcing her to stop smoking cold turkey that night, 3 days before Christmas. Have you ever seen a woman who had to quit smoking cold turkey before surgery open a gift of 2 cartons of cigarettes? There was no malice in what I did. I had asked her for gift ideas for a month and she never answered. That did not stop the yelling, the screaming, and the insults. For Christmas dinner, her mother came over to cook. She heard what happened, laughed, and took my side. As I went to sit down, my ex-wife told me that if I valued my life, I should not take a seat at that table. She had not gotten over the cigarette gift, and making dinner for the man who gave her such a gift only made her angrier. She said that if I were hungry, there was peanut butter in the cabinet. Story 103. When I was 13, my mother's father, whom we had met only once when I was 5, decided to buy us gifts. He bought me a Tweety Bird puffer vest that was the size I would have worn when I was 5. He had bought it from Kmart on clearance. My mother was very insulted. He should not have gotten us anything. We would not have missed the tacky gifts. It felt almost rude to my mother how he did it. We never saw him again after that visit when I was 5, and we never received another gift after that one Christmas gift. Laughing out loud. Story 104. Oh my God. I love this question because I have 2 very different stories and I can't decide which one was worse. When I was 8 years old, my dad gave me a wooden keychain with my initial. I hated it because it had no use for a child who had nowhere to put it except my school backpack. He rarely gave me birthday presents even though he made good money. This felt like the lowest effort option, and I really disliked the keychain. We got home, and before we got out of the car, for some reason I opened the glove compartment. Inside was another keychain with the initial of his mistress. We already suspected there was someone, but if I had not been sure, hers had a customized engraving saying she was the love of his life. Mine was just the keychain. I do not talk to him anymore, and he and his partner are divorced now, so I guess that worked out. The second one was for Valentine's Day. I had never wanted to own a cat back then. I was too busy at university. For some reason, my boyfriend gave me a cat. I could not even afford to care for it. I pretended to be happy for a while, but as soon as I got home, it hit me that he had given me a responsibility. All I wanted was flowers, not a pet. What on earth was he thinking? Story 105. My ex-mother-in-law was well known for being cheap and always shopped at the last minute. I think it was around 2005. She handed me my gift. I unwrapped it and it was a headset radio like people wore in the 1980s. Everyone tried not to laugh, but she was not done. The rest of the gifts she gave out were not terrible, just cheap. Then my nephew got his gift, which was a book, but none of us could see what it was about. He thanked his grandmother and politely asked, "What about the marbles?" She looked confused and said, "Why would I get you marbles?" The book was 100 Ways to Play with Marbles. Story 106. I had to bottle feed 2 sick calves in the early morning and late at night after work. I knew they were not going to make it, but I could not get anyone to euthanize them. I was given them as a birthday gift because the owners wanted to get rid of one that had been trampled in the truck and the other that was sick and undersized. Thea and Hather. I loved those little calves. They lasted about 5 weeks. Story 107. An extra-large blanket featuring the Confederate flag and the word rebel on it. Apparently it was on sale. Story 108. I remember I got pantyhose in the 1970s, a pair of legs. I was 10 and could give a shit about pantyhose. Story 109. I received a pack of gum and a comforter. The comforter was a gift because my mother no longer liked the way she had decorated my room and felt it was time for a change. She gave me the gum because I had begun chewing a couple of pieces a day due to severe anxiety caused by an ex-boyfriend stalking me. Story 110. My parents would give us what we asked for at Christmas, but they also liked to include one surprise gift. That was fun and thoughtful, but I never liked the surprise gifts. I played video games, so one year they bought me a gaming device from the mall. It was its own system and advertised having 1,000 games. But they were all just variations of Pong, Pong in blue, and Pong with snakes instead of paddles. I thanked them, played it for 5 minutes, put it away, and never touched it again. Story 111. My very well-to-do brother gave me a paper punch with the $5 clearance tag still on it. My friend said it was at least a 3-holer. I gave it back to him and said he needed it more than I did. Story 112. My mother-in-law gave me a bottle opener with toenail clippers on the other end. Story 113. My dad gave me a candle, but it smelled so bad that he threw it away and gave me the money to buy one of my choice. Story 114. It wasn't me, but my grandparents gave my then-boyfriend a half-used bottle of English leather cologne for Christmas. My mother said that when she was married to my dad, they gave her rolls of toilet paper as a gift. Story 115. A multi-compact disc audiobook to celebrate my getting a job. Even though I did not want a present and do not like audiobooks, my ex-partner who gave it to me does. I just wanted a burrito or a pizza. Story 116. My mother gave me an itchy, ugly brown mohair blend sweater that was too small one year. That same year my brother received a television. He was the only son and the favorite and emotionally needy, so my sister and I were used to receiving lesser gifts. I think my mother was having a mental health crisis that year. I also had a cousin who gave everyone thrift store finds. For example, she gave a threadbare pink hat with ties that fastened under the chin to an 8-year-old boy and a single pair of large, flowered granny underwear to a slender 20-something. For some reason she wanted to give gifts but was oblivious to what was appropriate, and her stinginess was notorious. She probably budgeted $7 for her 5 cousins and their children. She was the only cousin who gave gifts to the extended family, which made it odder. She was very well educated and wealthy. Story 117. This was not for me but is the weirdest gift I have ever seen. I was playing Santa for our California-based career and volunteer fire department's Christmas party for the volunteers and the auxiliary support group that raised money for us. 60 to 80 people attended, including children. Everyone was supposed to bring an unaddressed, wrapped gift under $25, labeled for a boy or a girl. The department also had some backup gifts in case we were short. I sat in Santa's chair with a list of all the children in attendance. I would call little Susie or Johnny up. My oldest son, my helper, would look through the gifts under the tree to find the right gendered gift, hand it to me, and after I did my Santa routine I would give the child the present. We were almost done when I called up a boy. My helper whispered that something was wrong with one of the remaining gifts for boys. It was shaped like a brick and was oddly heavy for its size. It did not feel like a normal gift. We gave the child another present, then unwrapped the brick. It was a box of caliber .38 special overpressure ammunition, a full box of live handgun rounds. We live in the foothills, but it is not a strong gun culture, and who gives high-pressure pistol ammunition to a random child? Story 118. I got 2 packs of cheap wire hangers that still had a 50-cent price tag and buy one get one free stickers on them. They were handed to me in the store's plastic bag. I spent over $200 on gifts and wrapped everything nicely. He asked why I looked upset. Story 119. This happened to a friend I was working with. As a secret Santa gift, a coworker put a lemon and a clove of garlic in a fanny pack for him. She was trying to make a joke about his supposed Greek ethnicity, even though he was Arabic. An hour later, she asked for the fanny pack back because it belonged to her sister and she had only borrowed it for the prank. I told him to keep it, but he was so disgusted by the whole thing he wanted nothing to do with it. He even tried to give back the lemon and the garlic, and the woman, confused, kept saying, "No, I bought that for you. Keep it, please." Story 120. My $500 Christmas bonus came after negotiating a $155 million design and build casino project. I led the budgeting, the design team, and the contract negotiations, and as head of our construction division, I was overall responsible for the project, which netted the company almost $4 million. I did not stay long afterward, and they could not understand why. There was more to why I left, but that is another story. Story 121. Once I got a deodorant spray for Christmas. I don't think I'm particularly smelly. The person who gifted it to me, a family friend, did so without a single trace of irony or malice. Story 122. I received deodorant at a work Christmas gift exchange. For the record, I didn't stink, so I don't know what prompted that. Story 123. I once had a similar experience. It was for a holiday. At the time, I was living in an apartment with my partner. I saved up for a few months to buy them a gaming console as a surprise. Do you know what I got in return? A little stuffed toy. That was it. Story 124. My ex-partner's parents gave me a shampoo for my birthday. They were very wealthy, so it was not about the money. It was not a nice shampoo, just a brand sold everywhere. Story 125. I got a few sorry board games over my lifetime for Christmas and birthdays. I still have them somewhere. Story 126. My father gave me a gold necklace. He became angry that I did not like it, so I gave it to my brother, who had asked for it. Story 127. A giant metal dream catcher. I never showed any interest in it and got rid of it shortly after. Story 128. It's not as bad as other people's, but a few years ago we did a white elephant, also called a Santa swap, with a group of family friends. More than 20 people participated. The first few gifts opened were bottles of wine, boxes of chocolates, and even a few churro makers. I ended up with a tennis hat that not even the family who brought it wanted. They did not even play tennis. No one in the group did. Story 129. My parents championed off-brand imposter products that were shadows of what I wanted. Even one of those Lifesavers candy books would be off-brand. Story 130. My dad gave me an open bag of Pepperidge Farm cookies for my 16th birthday. Story 131. One time years ago, on Christmas Day, someone knocked on my door. I thought it would be a neighbor or family member wishing me well. When I opened the door, a large white man punched me in the nose, said Merry Christmas, and casually walked away, adjusting his jacket and a cheese cutter hat. To this day, I have no idea who he was or why anyone would have hired him. I wasn't a boss or a chief at work and had no bad relationships. As far as I can tell, he may have had the wrong house. That was not the best gift. Story 132. Too long. Didn't read. My sister is nuts. When I was pregnant with my first child, I started getting calls and emails from the United Parcel Service saying I had a package that was undeliverable and would need to be picked up. We lived in the city. I was 7 months pregnant and commuting an hour each way. I had to take off work early to drive to the warehouse, then stand for an hour in my work heels in August while they rummaged through the packages. I finally received the package and opened it in the car. It was a single pillowcase with a Sandra Boynton cartoon cow on it. Story 133. At Christmas, my 5-year-old received an empty tissue box, loosely wrapped in holographic wrapping paper, with 20 unsharpened pencils stuck into it. My son and I were completely baffled. It was from his aunt, who has a law degree. I have no idea what her intentions were with the gift. It looked like something slapped together in the car on the way to our house. She bought gifts for my other children rather than making them. We had to smile and nod. I quietly explained to my son, who was very confused, and he happily sharpened his new pencils all afternoon. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.